Hey guys, I wanted to update you all on Railan's seizures. If you don't know, Railan is our youngest daughter. We adopted her when she was 5 years old and started fostering her when she was just 17 months old. But even before we started fostering her, we knew that she had epilepsy. So she has seizures pretty often. And we had to learn a lot about seizures when we first started fostering her because we really didn't know too much. I had seen a few people over the years had seizures, but not very much. And I didn't have very much knowledge about what they were or how to help somebody when they're having a seizure and these kinds of things. But when Railan first came into our family, like I said, she was 17 months old and her seizures were very subtle at that point. At that point, she was slightly malnourished just because it was really difficult for her to just drink her calories or get food in her because of she had a really bad gag reflex and these kinds of things. But once she got an NG tube, then she was able to get her calories down a lot better and her strength improved. But at first, her seizures were very subtle. Like we would notice mostly just in her eyes and maybe a little bit in her stiffening of her limbs, just a little bit. But it was super subtle and not very, for lack of a better word, strong. They seemed to be very, very weak, but at the same time, you could also tell that they were very intense for her because for her, it was a very intense experience. So, but like I said, they were very small and very quiet at first. But then as she got stronger, her seizures also got stronger. And she would typically have about, if I remember right, about 4 to 8 tonic-clonic seizures per day. And that was true for a long, long time. As she was growing up and getting stronger, her seizures would get stronger also, but she would typically have that many seizures a day, about 5 to 8. And she would have a host of different kinds of seizures. We typically only counted the tonic-clonic ones, not to minimize what the other ones were, but it was just easier for us to, in terms of like tracking and being able to tell how her seizures were doing, just to count those bigger ones. That being said, she would also still have absence seizures. Some people call them absence seizures, but basically seizures where it looks like you're just kind of your consciousness is kind of going away for a second, and you're kind of like almost like you're drifting off and looking out into space and these kinds of things. So she would have those. She would also have tonic seizures. So that's just the first basically phase of the tonic-clonic seizures, the phase where you have an explosive start basically and you tense up real much. And then she would also have what's called clonic seizures, which is basically the second phase of a tonic-clonic seizure, but not having the first part. So the clonic phase is just the rhythmic part where you tense up just for a moment and then it goes away for a couple seconds, and then tense up for a moment and goes away for a couple seconds. So it's kind of like that rhythmic part, and it can last about 4 to 5 minutes or so. So she would have tonic-clonic seizures, clonic seizures, tonic seizures, and also clonic seizures, and absence seizures, all those. She'd have all those seizures. If I'm remembering right, she'd also have, there's a couple other ones. They're kind of subsets of tonic-clonic seizures or subsets of clonic seizures, but she would have what's called gelatinous seizures. I think that's what they're called. We would call them happy seizures, where she would smile a lot. And she would also have what we called sad seizures. I'm forgetting the name of those. But it's basically when it makes you real sad. I think both of these are kind of like, they touch on the emotional part of the brain. And a lot of times people have said that sometimes these have left them happy or sad. Sometimes they say that they don't, but people have different experiences about these kinds of things. But over the years, she's had all these different kinds of seizures. And at some points she's had less, at some points she's had more. At one point she was having about 12 tonic-clonic seizures per day. I think the most she's had in a day was about 20. We've tried various things over the years to help improve her seizures. Sometimes she's responded well with meds. Sometimes she's responded well with diets, like the keto diet. Right now, what seems to be responding the best with is from her VNS. That's it's the vagal nerve stimulator is what it is, and that basically is like a pacemaker for your brain. It kind of gives regular stimulation to your brain stem, and that kind of regulates her brain activity. Because I don't know if I said this before, but a seizure is basically a disruption to your brain activity in one way or another. So the vagal nerve stimulator, her VNS, has kind of regulated that a little bit and helped her to have less seizures. That being said, she still has seizures. Right now, it's not uncommon for her not to have any tonic-clonic seizures in a day, which is really cool. So, and a bad day right now, I think the other day she had about 4 or 5, but that's kind of a bad day for her right now. Like typically she'll have maybe only just 1 or 2 tonic-clonic seizures in a day. So right now she's doing really, really well. And when she's having these periods of having less tonic-clonic seizures in a day, she typically is much more aware in general as well. Like tonic-clonic seizures really wear her out. So when she's not having as many of them, that means that she's responding better when she's in school. That means she's more alert just, when she's in her wheelchair, and she's more likely to do well on her eye gaze and make choices with her eyes and these kinds of things. So yeah, having less seizures is definitely a great thing for her right now. Now, I know a lot of people, when they have epilepsy, don't have nearly as many seizures as Railan does. And that's great, but it's still affecting them too, right? So even if you have epilepsy, for example, even if you have a seizure just once in a while, it's still a looming fear oftentimes, right? And some people have more seizures than Railan. Some people have a constant seizure activity, and it's really hard for them to function from day to day. I just want you to know that no matter what, even if whether you have epilepsy, whether you don't have epilepsy, whether you have seizures, whether you don't have seizures, we all have various trials that we go through, right? And the most important thing in life isn't even so much to figure out the why or the what of all these kinds of things. Not to say that if you can figure it out, then absolutely. Like medical technology nowadays has come a long way in figuring a lot of these things out. Like more than 1/3 of people who have epilepsy can be helped significantly. More than 1/3 can even stop having seizures altogether through one of these means, whether diet or meds or surgery or something like that. Just completely get rid of seizures through one of those. Another 1/3, more than 1/3, their seizures can be significantly reduced through one of these kinds of things. And then a little less than 1/3, none of these things prove to be, in the end, that significantly helping them. And that's what Railan, the category that Railan falls into. But that being said, I think that no matter where you fall in all of this, the most important thing is that you never lose hope. Like the lack of hope is the worst condition, right? So we have hope. We have hope that through medical technology and discovery, they can be able to figure out Railan's seizures even more. And even if that doesn't happen, we have hope because we know that the circumstances that we face in life isn't the end of us. We have hope because we know that Railan is going to be in a better place after this life, and she's not going to have these kinds of limitations that limit her and give her these kinds of challenge in this life. That's called faith, right? So we have hope through all this. We have joy and we have hope, knowing that better things are to come. All that being said, I hope that no matter what situation that you're in, that you really do have hope and joy. That no matter what you're going through, you can have joy knowing that you can get through it, you can face life's challenges, and that there is a better life to come. God bless you, and we'll see you again next time.